social disease. For people could actually gain off of the misery of others and the destruction of the environment. It's called moral hazard in the insurance industry. The whole system is moral hazard. Efficiency, abundance, and sustainability are enemies of our economic structure, for they are inverse to the mechanics required to perpetuate consumption. This is profoundly critical to understand. For once you put this together, you begin to see that the 1 billion people currently starving on this planet, the endless slums of the poor, and all the horrors in the culture due to poverty and depravity are not natural phenomena due to some natural human order or lack of earthly resources. They are products of the creation, perpetuation, and preservation of artificial scarcity and inefficiency. To add insult to injury, this scarcity is not only perpetuated in the markets of consumer goods and services, but also manifests in a way which influences the behavior of the whole of society, through making sure that even money itself is perpetually limited in supply. As denoted in Zeitgeist addendum, the central banks of the world almost all create money out of debt through loans. These loans are produced with interest, yet only the principal is created in the money supply, creating a perpetual deficit in supply. The debts generated by these loans in turn serve as virtual prison cells for the average citizen, keeping them willing to work off their debt, putting them in a perpetual state of obligation. There's a word for that. It's called slavery, debt slavery. The money isn't real. The interest sure isn't real. The debt is not real. The whole thing is an illusion. The whole world today is now stuck in the illusion that there isn't enough money to do this or that. 98% of the countries in the world are actually in debt to other countries and banks. As of 2009, it's been confirmed that the world is in a state of recession, which basically means massive monetary contraction. In other words, the whole world is somehow short on cash. Am I the only one that finds this absolutely unbelievable? The stupidity is not only unbelievable, it's deadly. The market and financial systems as we know it is diametrically opposed to development of peak efficiency in order to perpetuate profit in the established order. What is peak efficiency? The highest form of technical efficiency known at a time. Not the highest form of efficiency that is affordable, but the highest form of efficiency that is actually possible. The question has never been, do we have the money? The question has always been, do we have the resources and technical understandings to make it happen? That is all that has ever mattered. Now, given all of this, it's easy to see how the public today finds it difficult to assume that technology can provide abundance and peak efficiency. For there is very little in their day-to-day life that clearly illustrates this point. Everything around them reinforces the idea that scarcity in the world today is a natural problem. Why? Because the pursuit of profit by industry always inherently limits the quality of design for the sake of monetary preservation. If a company wants to be competitive in the marketplace, they must find a balance between quality and cost, invariably denying quality. It is impossible for a company to produce a product with peak efficiency by the very nature of the game. It would be too expensive to afford. This is one reason why there is so much unhealthy food and trash goods in our system. When you consider the majority of people in society today are lower middle class and below, you realize that the corporations must reduce their production costs to meet the terms of the affordability of the dominant demographic of the culture. I live in Brooklyn, New York, in an area that's very, very poor. Within a 6-block radius of my apartment, there are 5 of these 99-cent stores. These are stores which sell products from the cheapest possible materials and lowest possible efficiency that could ever be manufactured. It's junk, stuff that should have never been created to begin with. Why is it there? Because the people can't afford anything else. Why can't they afford anything else? Because the market system also creates and perpetuates social stratification, and the poor must exist in order for the rich to exist. Therefore, the level of product efficiency today is artificially directly proportional to the purchasing power of the demographic. Therefore, generally speaking, one's perception of quality is often only as good as their socioeconomic status. The quality of goods are stratified, just as the social classes are. The result is outrageous amounts of resource waste. In a world that claims to be growing more and more concerned about environmental issues, resource supplies, man-made atmospheric changes, and pollution, I find it fascinating that no one is talking about the most consistent destroyer of ecology and the most continuous waster of natural resources there is, the pursuit of profit. Capitalism is based on the free pursuit of profit by whatever means necessary. I was in a cab coming here, and the cab driver made a great comment. He was describing something along the lines of business he was conducting. He's like, yeah, there's no friends in business. And he's absolutely right. I'm going to be using that one too. Capitalism is based entirely on the free pursuit of profit by whatever means necessary. It is a gaming strategy and nothing more. The irresponsibility it enables by its central philosophy of self-interest is profound. And while there are many angles to this, let's stay with the point at hand, the deliberate production of inferior products. Think about it. It is as environmentally illogical as can be. There is no reason to ever create a product that is deliberately low in efficiency. This simply means faster breakdown, faster obsolescence, more duplicate production, and many times more waste and pollution than would be required if the goal was to simply optimize products based on the most current technological awarenesses of the day. And this leads us to the final topic of this section, market mythology. So far we've talked about the structural mechanics of the system a little bit, pointing out the inherent contradictions and problems. As of now, through the overpowering growth in science and technology, the monetary system can be considered structurally obsolete, serving only as a paralyzing hindrance of social progress. Not to mention a destroyer of trust, human trust in the environment. That's a whole different topic in and of itself. Unfortunately, the social indoctrination within the market system has created a mentality which blindly supports the social dogma regardless of what we have touched upon. The identity relationships are simply too strong. In many ways, it's like a religion. Taking away the belief in the market system is like taking away someone's belief in God, for it challenges who they are. When you're a little kid, you pull on your mother's pants, you want candy, and she might say, no, we can't afford that. So you have this instant indoctrination to the monetary system from the earliest form of life, because obviously your parents are always struggling to a certain degree, so it becomes absolutely built into your psychology. Not to mention that those that have successfully acquired a great deal of wealth, you'll find that those that are in fact very wealthy, they will almost always be inclined to tell you that the system's great. That's just the nature of behavioral reinforcement. Now, the three most dominant of these psychological indoctrinations that I want to talk about are the notions of property, incentive, and associations with freedom of choice. Starting with property. The capitalist economy is founded on the very idea of exchanging property in the markets. Even your labor is a form of property in a sense. The world that we know is so bound up in the process of buying and selling that most just can't imagine any other way of functioning human affairs. Property is often associated with so-called rights as well. We use a legal system to protect our property, and if anyone interferes with what is mine, their freedom can possibly be taken away. In fact, there is even an entire industry which is there to tell you what the best property there is to own. It's called advertising, of course. Yet, with all of this obsession over property, very few ask the question, why do we have property to begin with? The answer is simple. It's scarcity. Property is an outgrowth of scarcity. The farther we go back in time, the more difficult and time-consuming it was for people to create tools or extract a resource. They, in turn, protected it because it had immense value relative to the labor entailed along with the possible scarcity associated. People claim ownership because it is a legal form of protection. Property is not an American or free enterprise or